boogeyman.
Run, Randy, run!
Welcome to the Inferno. I'm Papa John, and I'm here to guide you through all the hellish sides of horror. And I'm starting or continuing my Conjuring Universe review series with the very first movie, that is The Conjuring, directed by one of my all-time favorite horror directors, James Wan. I love this movie to death. It's one of my all-time favorite horror movies, so just beware that I'm pretty much not going to have anything negative to say about this movie, and so let's get started. And I'm just going to start by mentioning the fact that this is probably the scariest movie I've ever seen, in my opinion. I've never seen a movie that scared me as much as this movie, especially upon first watching way back in the day when I first watched this movie. Nothing's ever scared me or terrified me more than this movie, at least no movie has. And it kind of gives me somewhat nostalgia nowadays when I watch it, because one of my gateways into paranormal horror was stuff like Ghost Adventures and Ghost Hunters, because I was always hesitant to get into paranormal horror and stuff, because as a kid I kind of had this big fear, phobia of ghosts. And so every time I watched a paranormal horror movie, it was always like a black and white 50s movie. And when this movie came out, I never saw it in theaters, but I did see it when I rented it from Family Video, and it scared the bejesus out of me. To this day, I still can't sleep in silence anymore because of this movie. Because every nook and cranny, that sounded weird, that you hear, like if my water heater comes on at night, I'm going to think, is that my water heater? Is there like a ghost or demon causing noise, Because this movie, James Wan does such a great job causing subtle horror. Just stuff falling off the walls, a sound that could be mistaken as a clap. You hear something that might sound like a clap. Is it a demon clapping? He just does such a great job with the subtle horror in this movie, taking mundane things in everyday life and just making them horrifying. And then when they all combine into one giant thing, it provides just this horrific, terrifying movie. But the thing that really separates this movie for me is how extremely well it develops the family relationships and the bond and the themes of the family and just all of that. It makes you feel for it. When that mother gets possessed towards the end and goes after her daughter, the demon's trying to kill her daughter, you feel it, because the entire movie you get to know them, you see their relationships. And it's not just the paranormal struggles that you see this main family go through. You also get to see them go through their financial troubles, which most people at least can relate to. And then even when it comes to Ed and Lorraine, you get to see their family dynamic. You get to see development with their family and what they go through. And then when it comes to their job and everything, it's all introduced in a very basically subtle way. That's kind of the key word to this review, is subtle. Because when it comes to the Annabelle doll in that opening scene, and then when it comes to their room of artifacts, it's all subtly there. It's not heavy-handed spin-off ideas thrown at you. It's just subtly there. They're subtly introduced. It's world building the way world building should be. It subtly introduces you to other stories and other artifacts that you can explore within the universe, but it doesn't have this over-the-top spin-off introduction. And then you have some great cinematography that makes the house look spooky and yet look realistic. It's not like you're in the Haunted Mansion from the Eddie Murphy movie. It all looks like a realistic country house that's somewhat run down, but still believable and relatable. And just all the stuff that happens to them is somewhat relatable. Everyone can relate to pictures falling off walls, to odd smells occasionally. The other thing is the sound design in this movie is immaculate. It's maybe the best since Stanley Kubrick's The Shining, in my opinion. The only other one that's up there, and they're sort of neck and neck between Insidious and The Conjuring, but they're both James Wan movies. And so you just see this nice direction in this movie by James Wan. And this, to me, this is his best movie yet. We'll see what Malignant's like when it comes out later this year. But so what circle of hell does the original The Conjuring belong in? This is like a top 5 horror movie of all time for me. And all of the other 4 or 5 movies that I might put ahead of it are all from like the 70s, 80s, or 90s. And so, like, in my opinion, this is the best horror movie since the turn of the century, the best horror movie of this century so far. It's only been like 20 years, but it's the best in my opinion. You know, closely followed by Hereditary. I do love that movie as well, but to me, The Conjuring is just one of the greatest of all times, and therefore, it belongs. It's so good, it's so hellishly good that it transcends being in hell, and even goes past Purgatory. And to me, The Conjuring belongs in Paradise, the best of the best of the best. So go ahead and tell me your thoughts on 2013's The Conjuring in the comment section down below. I know a lot of people actually prefer the sequel over this one. Not most people, but there are a decent amount. And even if you think that some of the spin-offs are better, I'd love to hear that argument in the comment section down below. And then if you enjoyed this review, go ahead and smash that thumbs up icon, smash that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell as well to stay tuned on this Conjuring Universe review series. And as always, have one hell of a good time.